I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
This is where the fun begins.
Hello and welcome to Jedi Knights, the official Star Wars podcast for JoyClicks. My name is Mike Connors, and as always, I've got my co-host joining me through the HoloNet, Christian Buckley. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, Mike. May the force be with you and all of you viewers.
Yes, it's been a while. We have a lot of news to talk about today.
Oh
So much,
baby.
so much
Oh
news.
my goodness. We are drowning. We are up to our neck in Star Wars discussion, discourse, and news, Mike.
Yes. Some would somebody could say that Star Wars has never been more alive. Uh, I don't know if I would agree with that, but you could say that.
You know,
Um,
that's a good thing to think about, right? Because when you think about that, like literally, it's never been more alive. I think strictly off the volume of things that exist,
I guess you're right. Yeah.
it is correct. So it's like, well, would it be like when in '77 when the initial run came out? Would it be like Return of the Jedi because that was the culmination? Would it be when they announced it was coming back? Would it be when Disney bought it, right? But I
Yeah.
think never been more alive. Strictly talking like how much there is at the moment. I believe we haven't topped Holiday 2019 because if you recall, in like a 2 month span, we
Yeah.
got Jedi Fallen Order. We were playing that as we were watching The Mandalorian season 1 and then going to see The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. That's probably peak Star Wars in terms of just like volume of things just to see and do.
Yeah, I'd say if Survivor didn't get delayed and released in March, that would have probably been uh, the thing to overtake that because we would have had two shows with Bad Batch and Mando and a
Right.
game versus show, short little movie, not several hours of TV, but
Yeah, man. It just feels weird how long ago that was.
I know.
At the same time, like it I feel like this is like there's just a lot of news that came out of Celebration. Obviously, we're going to be talking about all of that. And it's a lot that's like future focused, but
Mhm.
it just makes me feel like within, over the next like 4 or 5 years, like we're just going to consistently get like what seem to be pretty good Star Wars projects. And so I'm just hyped for it, man. Like that's what I mean when I say like I feel like it's never been more alive.
Yeah, I think that's a fair read on the landscape of Star Wars on April 21st, 2023 at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time.
In case you were wondering when we were recording this.
Yeah,
um yeah, man, there's a bunch of celebration stuff. I'm kind of antsy to just like get into it and talk
absolutely.
about it. Do you want to just like dive right into it?
Sure thing. Let's just pull a Jar Jar Binks and flourish into the lakes of Naboo.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna be putting on my rebreather though,
Oh
if
yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean
I can't do the flips. I'll just slowly walk in.
no, I mean for the depth we have to go with all this news, Mike, and how long we're gonna be here, and we need that rebreather, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like I can't expend all my energy at the beginning. I gotta make it through. No.
Hmm.
uh anyways, let's start with honestly one of the first things I think to come out of Celebration was all this news about Ahsoka. That at least that's kind of like what I first that was like the big Friday first thing, I believe.
Yeah.
Uh, we got a trailer and a release window. So, according to Lucasfilm, Ahsoka will be hitting Disney Plus sometime in August 2023. So, considering like, there was that last minute push for like Andor and stuff, maybe September, like August, September, I feel like it is a uh, good window there. Hopefully they could just, stick to August. But we got a really awesome trailer. I watched it like 1,000 times. This show's definitely looking like Rebels season 5. like just a continuation of Star Wars Rebels. We got Thrawn in there, Sabine, Hera, Chopper. Ezra makes an appearance in like a hologram.
Hmm.
It's hype, man. It's seriously hype. I want to hear your thoughts about it though.
Yeah, so as somebody who's only seen like a season and change of Rebels, very cool to see these characters in live action from what I'm familiar of them. Uh, I'm excited for the show. I love Ahsoka. She's like top three Star Wars characters for me. And I've been looking forward to this for a while because I know it's probably going to feel like Star Wars TM, you know? Like it's going to hit all the notes you want a Star Wars thing to hit, is what I'm expecting it to do. Mainly because Ahsoka is the brainchild of Dave Filoni and George Lucas. So I think this is going to be that outlet, you know, especially since I know in Rebels, from my understanding, she's not like one of the lead characters late season. She's more of just like a secondary
Yeah,
ensemble character.
exactly.
So picking up with her as the protagonist and then having the other Rebels characters there is, for me right now, as somebody who hasn't seen all of Rebels, you know, a grounding thing to get me excited because I love Ahsoka. But I'm absolutely gonna watch the rest of Rebels. I'll probably rewatch season one and then just do all of it this summer leading up to the show because gotta see Thrawn, dude. I haven't read the books. I know you have. My friend's been reading a lot of the books. Like
Yep.
I gotta fully understand Thrawn outside of the one Heir to the Empire book that I read in like third grade.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny too. You said heir to the Empire. You got Ahsoka in the trailer, like literally says that. She was like, she said something about like, oh, like I've been hearing about Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And yeah, I got a big, that was a big nerd moment for me. I was just like, holy crap, that's kind of on the nose, but like whatever. But to your point, it really just seems like the brainchild of like Dave Filoni. It's just the continuation of Rebels. I remember I was in college. I think it was like my junior senior year. I was like watching the last season of Rebels as it was airing on like Disney XD, which is just like crazy. I don't even know, does that exist anymore? Uh,
I don't know. That's a good question.
but I'm just so excited for this. The trailer looks amazing. We got these bad guys with like orange looking lightsabers. We got Thrawn, just looking good.
Yeah, I'm very curious about the orange lightsaber because I think it was either Filoni or maybe Favreau in like a carpet interview was like they're intentionally that color. I was like, okay, interesting.
Yeah, so what do you think about that? Like, who do you think those people are? Because I can tell you they weren't in Rebels. Uh,
So, from my understanding of my Twitter timeline, the bearded gentleman with the orange lightsaber, I guess, played a character on Rebels, but is not reprising that character for the show,
okay.
if I understood correctly. But yeah, maybe I don't know, orange lightsaber. Maybe they're a gray Sith. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I had a theory. I think I texted is this to you and Jack that like maybe they are like former Jedi who survived the Purge and the Empire and everything and are just, you know, falling to the dark side and like corrupting their old kyber crystals and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, that would be kind of interesting. But it would only add to the whole like why were there so many Jedi during the Empire and everything. But it still looks awesome.
Mhm.
There's that guy with the beard, and then there's that girl with like the uh, white hair and everything.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very much excited for this. We got confirmation as well that Grand Admiral Thrawn will be played by Lars Mikkelsen, who voiced Thrawn in Rebels. So that's going to be cool. We also got like a really grainy, we got some grainy footage from a Celebration Only trailer
Mhm.
about Ahsoka. We got to see his face. Um, And we also got to see Sabine using Ezra's green lightsaber, which was quite interesting. I wonder what that's supposed to mean.
So, Mike, do you want to guess when I learned that Lars Mikkelsen is Mads Mikkelsen's brother?
Well, I can tell you that I just learned that right now. So
I learned it during Celebration.
that's pretty crazy.
And I also like I saw him. I knew people were always like, oh yeah, he plays Thrawn. He's really good at it. And I was like, okay, sure. And then when I saw him, I was like, he looks familiar. I've seen him in something. And I was like, wait, he's Mads Mikkelsen's brother. Oh, also he plays that wizard in season 1 of The Witcher, which
Oh,
I don't know if you
interesting.
watched it, but I think Stregobor, he was like one of the like conspiring wizards. But
Yeah, I can't say I've seen that.
yeah,
Now that I'm looking at Lars Mikkelsen's IMDb, he was in House of Cards as well,
hmm,
as like the Russian president, I believe.
wow.
Uh, yeah, so honestly, he doesn't really look very much like his brother. That kind of looks very different.
I can kind of see. I think like in the jaw, maybe.
Maybe I have to see like a photo of them side by side because I'm just like going back and forth right now. Uh, but yeah, man, he plays an excellent Thrawn in Rebels, so I'm just excited to see how he's going to translate that into live action. Um, and the weird, the kind of grainy photo that we got.
Hmm.
Did you see that?
I want to say I did, but it does not stand out to me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it was super grainy, so I don't know what it's actually looks like, what he actually looks like, but it'll be interesting to see how they do like the blue skin and everything
Hmm.
in live action. So I'm excited for that for sure. And we also got confirmation that this TV show season is going to be 8 episodes long, so it's Mandalorian length.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, totally tracks. Um, Anyways, what do you think about just this in general? What do you think about Sabine using Ezra's green lightsaber? I feel like that was pretty crazy, to be
Yeah,
honest.
so I don't again just because of what I've seen in Rebels, I don't have like a huge amount of weight for that, but it does seem interesting, especially knowing her history with the dark saber
Yeah.
and the state of that currently. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious to see how the Rebels storyline influences the overall story for Ahsoka, the show, not the character. Also curious to see how this show takes the next step for fleshing out the Mandoverse
True.
because we just got what feels like the end of an arc, and now we are waiting for what's next, and what's next is this show. So,
Do you think we get a cameo from Din Djarin in this show?
as much as I'd love that, I will say no. I think it is fairly likely though that we could get CGI Luke again in this show.
I
Um,
mean, we are it was confirmed that we are getting Anakin Skywalker, right?
yes. So, like, do they want to have a scene with like Ahsoka talking to Luke and Anakin Force Ghost shows up? I'm sure Mark Hamill would want to do that. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you would.
so yeah, I'm curious to see what unfolds cameo wise because I feel like you are introducing all these Rebels characters to so many people as well. So a lot of potential.
Totally, man. Totally. So why don't we move on to some movie news? We got some serious movie news. We got 3 different movies that were talked about during Celebration.
Yeah,
I'll
I
just
gotta
run.
apologize to I think it was Jeff Snyder who broke that story on our last episode, right?
Yes,
He was
yeah,
like 3 movies. I was like, yeah, right, dude. I know you're reputable, but yeah, right. He was right.
yeah. He was right. So the 3 movies, just like on a high level. We have a movie directed by Charmin, right? Uh,
Yes, Charmin Obaid Chinoy.
right. So that is going to be post Rise of Skywalker, and it's going to follow Rey Skywalker as she uh, rebuilds the Jedi Order, a new Jedi Order. Daisy Ridley is confirmed to come back. Rumor has it that John Boyega is also involved.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And I think timeline wise, did they say it is 10 or 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker?
I think they said 10.
Okay.
So it's going to pick up pretty far after all of that and just going to tell a story, I think. It seems like it's kind of like a no strings attached, just like we'll see how it goes kind of
Yes.
deal.
Which,
Uh
if you recall, I think that was the conversation you and I were talking about
yes.
in this hypothetical of like, if they
Yeah,
have to announce three, hope is it's like, hey, we're gonna do three. We have plans for what's next for each of them. If they do well, we'll move forward. If they don't, this was its own thing.
right. They definitely seem to have gone down that path because they just said, "Yep, we're making a Ray focused movie that's
Mm-hmm.
coming out in 2025 and it takes place after Rise of Skywalker." And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of it. Like that's kind of all they told us. Um,
Yeah.
so this could be really interesting. I'm curious to see if like, is Adam Driver gonna come back as like a Force ghost or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Like what does this like who is this there's got to be some sort of like main antagonist, right? So like what is that force going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be connected to maybe like the Mandoverse in any way? Thrawn perhaps, right? But you never know.
Yeah. Something I have to praise the High Republic for, which the High Republic does many things very well, but the the concept when I was sitting in the theater and watching The Last Jedi and seeing Kylo Ren kill his master and double down on his villain era, I was like, oh, perfect. He's going to get redeemed eventually, and then there's going to be some other threat that comes in. That's going to be the big thing we have to take care of. We kind of got that, but it was Palpatine. So, like, my
Yeah.
hope has always been I want the future of Rey and this cast and timeline to be faced with something that they and in turn the audience sees in Star Wars and is like, oh, that is alien. That is weird. What is
Yeah,
that?
it right. And in Legends they had that with like the Yuzhang Vong. Are you familiar?
I'm not, but that's why I brought up High Republic because I do think the High Republic introducing the Nile was close to that. Like this threat that is not Sith. It is very different culturally from everything else we've seen. Um,
Right.
Visually seems like it could be something that fits in Star Wars, so that's not necessarily fully what I want. But yeah, out just no Sith, no sabers is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and I think that that's a fair hope.
Hmm.
Um, I just think that yeah, there's a lot that they could do if they could take a lot of inspiration from like Legends even.
Yeah.
Because in Legends, the Yuzhang Vong were basically exactly what you described, like an alien force from like the unknown regions that comes and threatens the galaxy, right?
Hmm.
And you got Luke and Mara Jade and Han, Lan, their kids, like trying to fight this big existential threat. So there's a lot that they can maybe take inspiration from in terms of where they would go with this. Um, but yeah, I think that if they did like another, it's a big space station and we gotta blow it up, like I would be a little upset. Like you did that 3 times now, so like it's a little tough.
Yeah,
But
like
I don't think that that's the vibe that I'm getting is that they're not going to do something like that. But who knows?
yeah, it would be cool if it was like if they have to have something in space that gets blown up is where I'm going with this. Like,
Okay.
are you familiar with Mass Effect at all, Mike?
I mean, I'm familiar with it, but not like intimately.
Well, first off, I think you would really like Mass Effect. But secondly, um, they have these things called mass relays in that, which are space stations that look like the Covenant plasma rifle in Halo. Like they look like that, and
Cool.
what they do is they serve as warp points throughout the universe for spaceships to use to just like jettison. Like it's basically their take on hyperspace. So maybe if there's like an invasion where it's like, hey, we have like this. Well, now this is just kind of like Thanosy, but like if we have like this giant army to invade the galaxy of Star Wars in another dimension, and we're using the space station to travel, that could be something. Not necessarily a big gun in a ball, you know, like they could get a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
creative with it.
No, I mean, I think that would be that type of concept of like this extra galactic threat,
Yeah.
right? That's like not of this galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
kind of different, has its own vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Would be would be good, I think, for Star Wars just in general.
I
Because
wonder.
I do think a lot of the criticism is like people say that like, oh, it just feels like recycled, right? So they they should do something different with this.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring it back to that because that element of Star Wars and the Force Awakens is very much rooted in like the we're a rebellion that has a Jedi on our side, you know, and we're fighting like a government. This on the surface is, I think, what a lot of long time 35 plus year olds thought in their dreams in episode 7 would have been of
Yeah.
getting into the weeds with our protagonist Jedi hero, not like fixing the Jedi, but like ushering in a new era. Um, so I think because of that, like the context you're saying with the synopsis here, as vague as it is different. Where it's like we're not facing an oppressive force, we're not the underdogs, we're not doing XYZ that leads to X-wing fights. So yeah, I wonder if it is like the Jedi Academy. How far along is it? Uh, if Finn is back, I'm assuming he will be a master at that point because of that gap in time. Uh, does it focus on Rey training an apprentice? Do we get into like not like YA necessarily, but like factions in her order of like there's different like schools for different proficiencies in the Force. Like, is that the type of stuff we're going for here? Harry Potter adjacent, I guess you could say, with like the structure of what those movies typically did. I don't know.
It's possible. I do think though, if you are kind of like resurrecting Rey Skywalker, right? Like that's a pretty big character.
Yeah,
You wouldn't I feel like you wouldn't want to relegate her to being like a secondary sort of like supplemental character, you know? I feel like they would want to really like do something with that character,
mm-hmm.
and focus on her, which I think is what they said that they're going to do. It's going to be focused on Rey.
Sure. And I think
Um,
in that context, you could also focus on her because we never really see the Master's perspective in Star
this is
Wars.
true.
You know,
This is true. Yeah, yeah,
like we
that's true.
never like Obi-Wan is a huge player, but like we're meant to sympathize with Anakin in those movies from his point of view of it, right?
Yeah.
Or like he is the lens that the audience looks at it through, and Obi-Wan is an important character, but not the character. I think there's a world where that could be interesting too, where we see Rey as this more like matured Jedi Master, what it's like for the main character to be dealing with training someone, and like maybe that's the struggle she's trying to go through.
What if she's training Finn? Like, what if she's like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'd be down for that
Uh,
too, but I wonder if that's enough for John Boyega. If it's like, so you're a Padawan, or it's like, nah, I'm master, and I'm coming back.
no, I was thinking maybe like, I don't know. Like, I was thinking maybe like something happens, within the story that like Finn kind of goes his own separate ways for a while, like
Mm-hmm.
realizes that maybe he he should try to learn from Rey, and like we pick up with them while he's like, a Jedi Knight or something, like about to be like a Jedi Master at the tail end of his trial, basically like still working with Rey. Like I
Hmm.
feel like that might be interesting. Um, but I do think I want to just touch upon something that you said earlier. You said that this movie has the potential of being what, you know, 30-year-old fanboys thought Episode 7 would be.
Yeah.
Um, this, I feel like, Episode 7, when that came out, it was a different time.
Hmm.
Disney sort of had to prove to the fan base that they quote unquote got it.
Yeah.
Like
And I
like
think
they understood the vibe, and I think they did that.
yes, and I think a lot of people forget that, Mike, that was the
Oh,
tone going into that movie.
yeah, that was the whole thing. It was like we're resurrecting essentially like this franchise. Please trust us. Like,
Yeah. And the whole like if you say anything about the prequels online, you get ridiculed. Like that was still alive and well like early 2010s. So that was the vibe
yeah.
they had to address. But continue.
Yeah, so I mean, I look at this with, different sort of view, because they've already proven that they could do it,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
They're not necessarily coming at it from that perspective, so they could be a little bit more. They could take a little bit more of a risk, you know. Um, and maybe, this is going to come out 2025. That would be 10 years after Episode 7. That maybe they would feel comfortable to do such a thing. Um, Whereas in 2015, I don't think they were comfortable to take any risks.
It's an interesting concept because I feel like out of the movies we have announced, I think there's a clear one that feels like it's the risk taker, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what tone they strike here. Um, I I would love it to just explore Ray as a master because I think that is a really interesting thing that we haven't really gotten to see in Star Wars. Like what we were saying earlier from like a master perspective, but like what is the plight of a Jedi master? Is it teaching? Is it duty? Like what is it? That's the question I want to see her address here.
Yeah, and I think that even with this movie, they could do more with some of the characterization that they made in Rise of Skywalker. She could still maybe be struggling with the darkness inside her that's inherently inside her, for being Palpatine's granddaughter. So, I think that there's a lot that they can do with this. Um, I also just want to say that means we're going to see yellow lightsaber on screen,
Oh
which is
yeah,
awesome.
they can't chicken out and go blue again. If they do, I'll be mad.
Oh, I'd be really mad. I'd be so mad. Are you kidding me?
Because the thing is, you and I talked about this before. They have an aversion to going away from blue. So part of me is like, oh, we're done with Ray? Sure, let her have a yellow one. Like that's the only justification in my head for why they actually did that. Because they love doing blue lightsabers, dude.
Yeah, I mean it's like the quintessential like good guy color, So it's like it has that backing behind it. But yeah, they I don't think they would go back to the blue. I think that they would just own it. They'd just be like, nope, Ray's got a yellow lightsaber.
I hope,
Like,
and I think they will. Last thing about the Ray movie, I'm wondering because we talked about them adapting Legends material and stuff before. I'm wondering if someone like Oscar Isaac doesn't come back for this.
mm,
If
yeah.
Poe's daughter is force sensitive and she is going on this adventure with like Ray and Finn as like a youngling or something.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Just to like have some more ties to the sequel era besides Ray and potentially Finn.
I think we're gonna see like a Poe Dameron cameo. I think that
Hmm.
I would put money on that.
Yeah, like I think there's a shot for something like that, or you know, uh, maybe like Rose is some figure in the New Republic now or something. I
Yeah,
don't know, something like along those lines, you know.
that is interesting. I hope they do something like that.
Yeah. And Chewie's got to come back, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
C-3PO, R2-D2.
A BB-8, you know.
True, true. Well, BB-8 for sure. I feel like BB-8 would definitely come back.
Yeah. See, this is where I'm wondering though, because at that point it's just episode 10, right?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you think there's a chance they call it that, or do you think that they're committing to let's leave that behind? Because I did see that they were talking about having the crawl return for all of these movies, even though they're not like saga films.
I could see them. Honestly, Christian, I
Hmm.
could see them marketing it like they did the other ones, right? Where it was just like, Star Wars, The Last Jedi, Star
Sure.
Wars, The Force Awakens,
Hmm.
and they don't pull it on you until like you get into the theater where they're just like, on the crawl. It's like episode 10. Because that's kind of like what happened with Empire Strikes Back. Back in the 80s, when that movie first came out, it was labeled on screen as episode 5, and people were like, what?
Hmm.
So, like, you know, there's precedent for that.
I I'm gonna take a shot in the dark at this title, and then we can talk about the next thing.
Okay, yeah, let me hear it.
And I would, if you have one as well, I would like to hear it, but I didn't want to put you on the spot.
You go
Star
first.
Star Wars colon the new Jedi Masters. Finn and Rey back to back on that poster.
That is, I feel like the poster idea is definitely something that they do.
Right.
Dawn of the Masters, is that what
Ooh,
it
that'd be
is?
good. That'd be good. I like that.
I was thinking maybe like, not, no, I don't know. I'm bad at coming up with things on the spot.
Because I'm
But
thinking
that's
marketing. You want new in there. You want people knowing this isn't your daddy's Star Wars. You
the
know,
new mask. That's yours. The new masters.
the
The new
new
Jedi
Jedi
mask.
Masters. That's my official prediction.
Okay, that's a good one.
Thank you. What about you? You got a guess?
Uh, Star Wars. I'm gonna go with our idea that there's some sort of extra galactic
Mm-hmm.
antagonist.
Okay.
Then this title also has a double meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Star Wars Voices from the Dark or
Oh.
something.
Okay.
Ooh, right? Like
Mysterious.
what are these strange beings coming from the darkness of outside of our galaxy?
I like it.
Maybe Rey is hearing some dark voices within her,
Mm.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
never know.
I like it. Well, we'll
Thank
see.
you.
I mean, 2025. That's 2 years away. You know.
True. Uh, we also got information about the Mando film, yet to be titled. Dave Filoni will be directing this, and it's supposed to basically culminate the Mandoverse. So, Mandalorian, Ahsoka. Uh, I don't even know if I'm missing anything else,
Book of
but
Boba
that's
Fett. Come on,
Book
man.
of Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, right. So it's supposed to bring that all together. Into what? I have no idea. Probably some big final battle with like Thrawn, I would assume.
You
Uh,
would think, right? Because
yeah,
let me lay out the timeline here. We got Star Wars Voices from the Darkness in 2025.
exactly.
And according to Hollywood Reporter, Lucasfilm ideally wants uh, that date for the Rey movie, and then a year later we get the Dave Filoni Mandoverse movie. So that dates it, the culmination of the Mandoverse, as they're describing it, 2026, probably December. So that gives us a little under 3 years worth of seasons of TV to build up to this point, right?
Yep.
So we got Ahsoka, and believe is Skeleton Crew Mandoverse, or is that something separate?
I have no idea.
Okay, well we'll see about
That's
that
a
one.
great question.
Um, for sure, though, we get Ahsoka this year. Next year, I don't know where a Mandoverse season fits into that schedule, unless that they like, you know, we're shooting a Book of Boba Fett level thing in the background of the last season's production. Because next year is Acolyte, which is High Republic, Andor,
Yep.
which is uh, the Reign of the Empire,
Empire.
and then do we get a third show next year? Do we? It's like December 2024 when we get Mando season 4, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would make the most sense, right? We're gonna get like a Mando season 4 in 2024. We'll get like an Ahsoka season 2 in 2024, and that will probably lead us right into the film. Don't you think?
I don't know if we'd get Ahsoka next year.
Oh, sorry. No, I meant Ahsoka 2025. But that would still lead us into
Yeah.
the film. Yeah.
So potentially we get one more season of Mandalorian, a second season of Ahsoka. Maybe they squeeze in a Book of Boba Fett level miniseries.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Boba Fett 2, but like, you know,
Yeah, the
something.
DLC. The
Yeah.
DLC.
Yeah. Uh, and then all of that wraps up with the movie. So, like, I know there's Favreau being like, oh, Mandalorian could be endless, you know, but I feel like that's a pretty clear timeline of one more season, probably.
Yeah. And just to clarify, we might as well throw Skeleton Crew in there too, because that also takes place in the same time as The Mandalorian. So
Okay, cool.
that is a Mandoverse sort of production. Um,
Yeah. Um,
yeah, Dave Filoni, executive producer.
cool.
Um, so we'll see how that fits into that.
Mhm. But yeah, does that feel like ample time for you based off where we are to ramp up to this presumably Thrawn style threat? Like they're probably gonna just call it Star Wars Heir to the Empire, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Um, Something along those lines. I just think that the movie that they're talking about with this will definitely be like the culmination of like Thrawn and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
a big battle with Thrawn where they defeat him or something. Um, it does seem feasible. We will be talking about Mando season 3, but just to give like a bit of my thoughts, like I'm kind of confused as to where that show is going now.
Hmm.
So it could go in any direction from here on out, and we haven't even seen Ahsoka yet, so it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah, I am with you. Where because I know I think we speculated this for a while that like they could do an eventual movie with Din Djarin in it. Like I think we talked about that years ago at this point.
Yeah, I think
But
we talked about that right when The Mandalorian came out. Like,
yeah, and it was like, oh, well, he's around the time of Luke, and maybe they want to do something with the remnants of the Empire. And like, I always assumed Thrawn would be the movie level threat they want to do if they did a movie ever. Now,
yeah,
I I know what we were just talking about titles, Mike.
okay,
Uh,
yeah,
what are the chances that in not a Hail Mary, but in like a thing to appease the people that are crying and pissing their pants every time anything happens with this franchise these days. They they because of the placement of this, because of the characters that could be at play here, and because of the weight that it holds in bridging original trilogy with the sequel trilogy. What if Star Wars Heir to the Empire is the new episode 7 and then 7, 8, 9 become 8, 9, 10? And it's like, yep, Star Wars is a 10 saga film. That's it.
interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't. I do have to say that I don't think they would do something like that. I think if anything, it would be like its own
Mm-hmm.
separate.
Now
Uh,
consider that they
but
could have a feature-length Luke Skywalker now because of the tech,
I mean, they most certainly will do
right?
that. Yeah,
Is he
like
going to be the main character? Did they let Mark Hamill do that? I don't know.
I don't I don't know. I don't know, but I don't see a world in which this movie happens and like Luke Skywalker's not in it.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, fat chance, dude.
yeah, it's gonna happen. Like, you know that guy's got to go like toe to toe with Thrawn. Like,
Yeah, a hundred
he has
percent,
to. He has to.
a million percent. I would bet.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'd bet, dude. He's in this movie for a substantial amount of it.
Oh, for sure. I would say that maybe like Grogu will be like the main connecting force between everything.
Okay.
Um, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because I wonder, like, timing wise, in the timeline, where does this take place? How close is it to, uh, you know, Ben destroying? Ooh, ooh. What if it's close to that? What if it's like a couple years before the downfall? Because I've been assuming that they're just gonna place it like pretty close to where we are currently in the timeline.
Oh, so like, you're saying that, they do some time jumping?
Yeah, what if like you show like Luke at his prime with his apprentice Ben Solo? You don't have to DH Mark Hamill at that point, but like how long can they stretch out this Thrawn threat? You know,
Right.
I don't know. A lot of potential
I
here.
don't know. There is a lot of potential, man. Exciting stuff, though.
Yeah. Out of the three, or we can save that until the next one.
Yeah, so let's quickly just talk about the next one. James Mangold, who is directing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which also looks freaking awesome, by the way.
Yeah, heck yeah.
He is directing the third Star Wars film. This one is going to be taking place before the High Republic, before the High Republic, before the Old Republic,
Gasp.
in the dawn of the Jedi era.
The
That's
tree.
about Yeah, the tree. That's about all we know. But I'll say that we'll probably see Octo again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I'll say.
Uh, it's gonna be that cinematic from the Old Republic. There's gonna be a tree. There's gonna be a brother and a sister. One's gonna discover the dark of the Force. One's gonna discover the light, and then at the end, one of them's gonna. Uh, no, the Jedi is gonna have the upper hand. The Sith is gonna be like, "Kill me," and the Jedi's gonna be like, "It's not my way," and then walk away. And then that's the beginning of all this shit that started to spiral
Exactly.
out of that. You know.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah. Well, the way he's talking about it, he's specifically citing that he wants to go like biblical epic with it because this is about the discovery of the Force as like a religious element, which the Jedi treated as.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be cool if they took like that sort of. I mean, like Star Wars in general, it's a mythology, right? But
Yeah,
like, and it has that mythical quality to it. All of it does.
yeah,
But I think it would be cool if they really leaned into that and sort of just like made it maybe sort of dreamlike, maybe a little bit like I don't know, like ethereal and abstract in some ways. I think that would be really cool.
yeah. I hope this. My hope is this gets weird. Like I have for some people I'm friends with that like aren't super into Star Wars because they think they know everything that like they wouldn't be surprised by anything that could be done in a project under this series. I always send them the 3 episode arc of the brother, the sister, the father.
Yeah, dude. One of the best arcs in the Clone Wars.
That shit is wild. That is weird as hell. And
Yeah,
it's so weird that they canonically make all the main characters forget what happened. So like
yeah,
I'm hoping that he takes inspiration from that, like you're saying, and is abstract with it. Like obviously there's probably gonna be a rudimentary lightsaber. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like discovering the Force as this like spiritual religious experience. it sounds fascinating if they tackle it the right way. And I think Mangold would probably push for that based off of Logan and stuff he's done in the past.
Exactly. Yeah. So this this one seems like it has the most the biggest potential for being kind of the craziest and out there, most out there. Um,
So, out of these three Mike Connors, which one are you most excited for?
I am most excited for the Ray one, to be honest.
Nice.
I think that I'm excited for all of them. Like, don't get me wrong.
Me too. Yeah, it's hard to pick.
The Mandoverse one seems awesome, but I just always thought that there was so much that they could do with Ray and Finn and like all that kind of stuff, and I just like really want to see them get their day in the sun, you know. So that's like what I'm most excited for.
Yeah, it's
What about you?
it's tricky because like my gut goes to the Dawn of the Jedi one because that is the largest unknown, right?
Hmm.
Where I feel like I know exactly what the Mando film is going to be, which is going to be
Right.
great. It's going to be a wonderful time, lots of popcorn, probably going to cry a little bit. You know, it's going to be a great time.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the end game of Star Wars.
Sure. Uh, and the Ray one, I really like Ray, like genuinely, and Finn as well, and a lot of the characters of the sequels. I like a lot of what happened in those movies, but um, I I think that one has the trickiest job to do. Where like, what do you do with Rise of Skywalker stuff? Do you just completely move forward, which is what I hope they do? But I agree with you. I think Ray and that story arc having a blank check now, basically unlimited potential. So if I could only see one, I'd probably go Dawn of the Jedi because that's gonna be so weird.
Yeah.
But the most excited one, the most interested I am currently is probably the Ray movie.
So we're on the same page with that one.
Yeah. But
I
again,
mean,
all these are gonna be great. I
yeah,
assume.
that's the thing. They're all gonna be awesome, likely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just excited to learn more about them as we get closer.
Mm-hmm. And
Do we know the? Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna throw in quickly because we were talking about the directors of the other two in terms of recent Star Wars things. The director of the Ray film was involved with Ms. Marvel, which was my favorite Marvel show of last year and one of my favorite projects of the last few from them. So it had a lot of heart, and I really liked the how it was grounded around its characters. So I have
Hmm.
high hopes.
Yeah, Miss Marvel is incredible, uh, for sure. Do we know when the James Mangold film is rumored to come out, be released?
I got no idea. I mean, I know he's working
Okay.
on something for DC right now, so
Oh, is he?
yeah, he's working on Swamp Thing.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
So I think he's currently working on that and is like starting to work on this. So that's the last of these three, I think.
Interesting. Well, exciting stuff.
Heck yeah.
Speaking of movies, uh, Kathleen Kennedy said that Ryan Johnson's not actively involved in Star Wars because he's super busy with the third Knives Out movie.
Hmm.
But contrary to some major publications out there, I don't think you can really extrapolate and say that it's not, gonna happen or something like that. I just think that they're taking their time on that, and I wouldn't be surprised if like somehow later down the line they're like, yeah, we're not gonna do that anymore. But as of right now, they still seem interested. It's
Hmm.
just that Ryan Johnson's just too good at making movies, so he's got to make some other ones first.
Yes. Now, as somebody who loves the whodunits he's done, I'll live. But I do really want to see him come back to Star Wars, and I am not surprised. I feel like we've heard her say this over and over again of like we're constantly in communication, always trying to fit it in, but when it happens, it'll happen.
Yeah,
So
I mean he's got a 3 movie deal with Netflix, right?
I believe
So
so. So he's got two more.
yeah, he's got 2 more Knives Out movies to do. So Give the man some space. Let him make his whodunits. Uh, we will be patiently waiting.
Yeah. So one, and I'm assuming once he's actually able to get moving on these, that'll probably be as long as they're committed to still doing it, right? Um,
Yeah,
Maybe we wouldn't have to wait that long after Dawn of the Jedi to get the first of, like, maybe like 2 years after Dawn of the Jedi comes out, we get the first of that Ron Johnson series.
yeah. I mean, I would assume that my guy Ryan's been thinking about it.
I
Like,
think he said he's got outlines and like some spec scripts already.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Um,
So
so yeah, maybe he could like really kick it into high gear once he's kind of done with Knives Out for a while.
yeah, because as far as I recall, from when we were getting some like regular details about his trilogy, he's only directing the first one, but he's writing all three and producing all three.
Gotcha.
So
Interesting.
yeah, one day
One day, yeah, maybe.
I hope.
Let's talk about some TV, shall we?
Sure.
Uh, we got some celebration only footage about from the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. The Acolyte, that's the one that takes place in the High Republic era. I did see that. I saw like a bootleg version of it, and it was just kind of like, you know, semi-long takes on just like the characters. Uh, not really much of, not really much that established the setting other than like looked like they were in the Jedi Temple. Um, we got the guy from Squid Game in it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It looks cool.
Uh, Junis is in it as well. He's returned to play another Wookiee, right?
That's right. Yeah, he's playing a Wookiee Jedi. So my first thought was, is that my boy Buryaga
I
coming
hope.
back?
I know it's not, but
Yeah, that'd be awesome though. Could you imagine?
that would have been incredible. Buriaga Agaburi, man, breaking out the cross guard.
We love him, man. We
Yeah,
love Buryaga.
yeah. Well, it's cool that he's still involved with the franchise beyond Chewbacca.
Yeah, there are not many tall guys that can do it.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. He's talented. He's very talented.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, that looks cool. Skeleton Crew also got some nice celebration only footage. Got a little bit of a description here from IGN. If I could open it, it says that the trailer kind of honed in on the show's Amblin Entertainment coming to age Goonies inspiration. It showed a montage of kids in class going through a residential area, running through a forest, driving a ship, with the narration, "Don't you ever want to do anything exciting?" And Jude Law's Jedi character was also briefly shown. Um, that has not been given a release date, but it is still scheduled for sometime in 2023. So we might get, Skeleton Crew at the end of this year, which would be interesting.
I feel like that's gonna have great Thanksgiving vibes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like Christmas vibes, maybe. Just like, I don't know, when I think of like Goonies, Amblin Entertainment, like just like ET vibes. That's what I'm down for.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right expectation. I'm sure we knew this before, but I forgot that Jude Law was playing a Jedi.
Yeah, that is interesting, huh?
Yeah,
I just can't wait to see some more stuff about this.
yeah. I'm interested to see a trailer. I wonder if maybe we get one on May 4th, or do you think they would just
Oh
like save
yeah,
Ahsoka for that? Because we've seen an Ahsoka trailer, but we haven't seen a Skeleton Crew.
I think I would say that we might get like a teaser or something, like a minute, just like, or maybe like a cut of what they showed at Celebration.
Uh huh.
But we also got some information about how there are going to be some names returning. Uh, John Favreau, Dave Filoni confirmed the directors on Skeleton Crew. the Daniels, who did Everything Everywhere All at Once, John Watts, David Lowery, Jake Schreier, Lee Isaac Chung, and Bryce Dallas Howard. So it'll be good, I think.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a surprise. You know, I think going into it with the proper expectation of good vibes, the Amblin Entertainment pitch that they've been repeating. I think it's just gonna be a fun time. You know.
I agree, man. We also got some more Star Wars news. Bad Batch is going to get a season three, the last season in
Yeah.
2024. Um, we're not going to talk about Bad Batch today, just for the sake of time. We will save that until another episode, just so we can really give it the time that it deserves. Um, but I did watch the last few episodes, and it does seem like it's coming to a culmination.
Mhm.
So that'll be fun. Uh, Love to see that. Tales of the Jedi is also getting a season two. Star Wars Visions is getting a season two, and that's releasing on May 4th. So that'll be awesome.
All the episodes. They released a trailer as well.
Right, the trailer looks pretty cool.
Yep. I believe they showed the Aardman animation episode at Celebration, and I heard it was pretty good.
Interesting, cool. There's one that kind of looks like Robot Chicken a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know which studio did that. Um, and then Kathleen Kennedy said that the Lando Calrissian show is still going to happen. That's about it on that though. But lots of TV news. We got some Star Wars TV coming at us pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Visions. As far as the Lando show goes, I, I have no idea. When that was announced, I was like, that sounds sweet. And it's just been so long that I'm like, I don't even know if they're gonna do this anymore. But it's probably our only chance at Solo too.
Right. Yeah. And you and I were joking before we started to record today about how if they were going to bring back Han Solo in that show, would they bring back Alden Ehrenreich and use his face, or would they only use him as the body double and deep fake Han Solo's face on him?
I hate that tech so much, dude. Like, it's very cool, but it has so many issues tied to it that are just not worth thinking through when you can just recast an actor who will do a good job and provide something new and interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Like the cast of Solo did. Or Ewan McGregor. Like,
Yeah, legit.
uh,
um, so that's gonna happen. Uh, Maybe we'll see. We also got confirmation that Celebration 2025, which is the next iteration of the convention, will be taking place in Japan. So, sorry.
congrats, Japan.
Yeah.
It seems like they're doing a world tour lately with Celebration. Because we got, what, London this year, taking a year off, coming back to Japan. But what I know, you and I were both rooting for New York. Um, it's, as far as I know, in the U.S., Celebration has only ever been Anaheim or like Chicago.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Um, like maybe like an East Coast show would be cool. I'd even go to Florida for one because Disney's right there. Could make a trip out of it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I would say that like I could see them doing like, Celebration Berlin or something,
I
right?
could too, honestly. I think they might stick with this for a bit.
Like I could see them do that. But I think eventually they're gonna have to bring it to New York, you know. I mean,
I'd
they don't have
hope.
to. They
Yeah,
don't have to, but they really should.
they should because
Or
I'll be able to
even
just hop on a
Boston.
train. Yeah, Boston too, dude. I went to PAX East. Like, Star Wars probably needs a larger convention hall than the Boston Convention Center, but like
Yeah.
Boston's got space, you know.
I mean
Kind of.
the convention center in Boston is pretty it's pretty big. Like I don't
Yeah,
know if it could handle a Star Wars celebration, but
yeah, man.
like
I saw some of the pictures of the floor from London, and oh, it was
yeah,
like I don't even think there was floor space. It was just people.
yeah.
That's tough.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Just bring it somewhere close so I can go to it.
Exactly. Yeah. Let me be able to hop on a train and go, and then go
Yeah,
home. You know.
yeah. If it were in New York, I could just yeah, just I could just go home and go on a train. Like let's go. Come on, it's so easy for me.
Yeah.
Why isn't Disney making my life specifically easier,
I know. I know.
Christian?
Uh, I will say, because Japan is 2 years away at this point, there's a part of me that hasn't written it off just yet.
Oh,
Because
you're saying like it could be part of like a larger Japan trip, maybe?
yeah, because I've always been like, yeah, I'd like to visit Japan. Why
Yeah.
not? You know. Uh, and if I could justify that with a Star Wars celebration trip, because again, 20 years of Revenge of the Sith, 10 years of Force Awakens, the year of the Rey movie, like that's gonna be a big year for
Yeah.
celebration. So,
Yeah.
but I'm probably not going to that.
Yeah, I would say I would like to, but being realistic, probably not.
Yeah, do you know how long the flight is to Japan?
Isn't it like 16 hours or something?
I saw 18, but it was with a layover in Canada. So,
Jesus. Yeah.
yeah.
It's like I don't know if I would really want to fly halfway across the world, you know.
Yeah. I'm not famous. I can't do that.
Or you know what, fully across the world, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like uh,
Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder what is the complete opposite of the globe from New England. I've never thought of that.
yeah. I mean, yeah. It'd probably be somewhere in like the southern hemisphere, wouldn't it? If it was like the complete opposite.
I guess. Yeah.
All right, this is not a geography podcast. I'll be looking that up later, though.
Yeah, me too.
Uh, um, anyways, anything else you want to say about Celebration? We really had a lot of news there. We talked about a lot of stuff. Apologies if we missed anything. I don't. I think we got all the main stuff
Yeah.
down though.
I I remember we were talking about this before. I didn't write it down, but Ewan McGregor was like, "I'm so happy Star Wars is part of my life again. I loved it before," and he's like, "I'm so glad that it's like again like such a huge part of my life." And he would really love to do another Obi-Wan project if the fans want it. And Kathleen Kennedy's been like, "We're not doing it." But uh, would love to see Ewan McGregor do another thing as Obi-Wan. You know,
Sure, why not?
but no time soon.
No, well, it doesn't seem likely. Anyways, well, I think that's it for Star Wars Celebration. It was definitely a news heavy one, and I love that about it.
Yeah, me too. It was a big year, big year.
Big year, big year. We got a lot to look forward to, and obviously we will be covering all of it as it unfolds here on Jedi Knights. So look out for that. Uh, should we talk about Mandalorian now? I mean, I feel like
Let's.
that's the next thing.
Yes, yes.
So Mandalorian season 3 has ended. The last episode came out this week. Came out a few days ago on Wednesday. And you know, just want to say overall, I thought that this season was good. Uh, I don't think it was the Mandalorian's best though. I do think that a lot of it seemed kind of it didn't seem like it had like that much of a it seemed a little disjointed, I think is the word that I'm looking for.
Okay.
Um, there was sometimes while I was watching it where I just like didn't really feel like the situation that our characters were in, the things that they were trying to, you know, accomplish were really that compelling. Um, and it kind of just left me with the taste at the end of, especially the last episode, of just like where this is going now. Um, because spoilers for Mandalorian season 3, but we get the Mandalorians retaking Mandalore, which I kind of we both saw coming, but I don't know about you. I didn't think it would happen so soon.
Yeah,
Um,
genuinely, just tying back to a conversation we were having like 20 minutes ago. I think we talked about this as well when we were talking about that eventual Mando movie. Like, maybe that was the plot of the movie. Like, that was like in the back of my head as a topic we discussed before of like, oh, that could be like
yeah,
the ramp up of like that's what the movie is like retaking Mandalore and Luke shows up to help and all these things. But
yeah. Well, that was the thing. Like we were maybe talking about how you know the Mandalorian Din Djarin takes on that sort of reluctant leader kind
mm-hmm.
of mantle. We've been talking about that for like years now,
Mm-hmm.
and this season kind of seems to have pushed that under the water, like it's not going to happen. For one thing, there is no dark saber anymore. Got destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
at least for now. Uh, and Bo-Katan kind of seemed to have taken a more central role in the story.
Yeah, I I definitely hear what you're bringing up about the season. I don't think it was my favorite season. I do think that there were some elements here that were stronger than the other two for me. Mainly that, to me at least, it felt like every single episode, and I wasn't super hot on the first episode of the season, but season two onward, I really enjoyed it. Or
Mhm.
episode two onward, I really enjoyed it. I think what season three did for me that was so strong compared to the first two was it felt like every episode was building toward an obvious goal. Like the finale felt very clear from like the second we talked to Bo, um, where every episode was functioning to build up the Shadow Council of Gideon and his spies out in the New Republic, uh, fleshing out Bo a little more and her motivations for people who are unfamiliar with her character, as best they could, allowing that transition of power to happen between Din and Bo as sort of like protagonists for some of the season by building their relationship and having them work together on like bottle episode type problems, like just to build the trust between the two of them because it did feel a little shaky before in season two with their dynamic. And by the end of season three, I really liked their back and forth where he basically like swears his life to her. Um, as far as like building the momentum towards like Bo Katan is kind of the main character of the season. It's about retaking Mandalore, and Din and Grogu take a bit of a backseat, but they're still there to ground the audience and play a part in, you know, cutting off loose ends from the first two seasons and also, um, you know, saving their culture. So,
Yeah, you know, I think maybe I'm just like really surprised because the whole thing with like the Mandalorian and Grogu kind of taking a back seat is not really what I expected from
mm-hmm.
the Mandalorian.
Sure.
You know, especially like so soon. It just felt like kind of abrupt. And so that's kind of like where a lot of my trepidation comes from, just
Mm-hmm.
because it's like it just seems sort of just like out there in a way.
How did you feel about Bo, like removing the surprise of them sort of like being not second fiddle but like there as well? How did you feel about like because obviously we're both very familiar with Bo Katan's character from the animated shows, but
Yeah,
having Katie Sackhoff in live action like fully embracing it and doing I think a lot more with the character than season two.
I
Um,
mean, I thought she was great. If that's what you're getting at,
yeah,
like
just like
I had no
her
problems with her.
for sure. I mean like for like her storyline and what the episodes did to progress her motivation to step up again as a leader and reclaim all that stuff.
I think it makes a lot of sense, and from that perspective, I really like it. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that I just I just thought that the Mandalorian was going to be about Din Djarin,
Sure.
and then that was surprising. Not necessarily saying that that's a bad thing. It's
Hmm.
just like a little strange to me. That's all. Um,
Hmm.
and like I don't want to say it leaves a bad taste in my mouth because it doesn't. Because I think Bo-Katan's character is really interesting, and she's got a lot of struggle. And having watched the Clone Wars and even Rebels for that matter, like I'm very familiar with the character, and so are you. But like it's just not what I expected from the Mandalorian. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I I I just think that the Mandalorian so far has really like it reached its peak with like season 2. It was all about Din Djarin and like all about his relationship with Grogu. And now it's kind of just like morphed into this like wider struggle with all of the Mandalorians, which
Hmm.
is fine. It just seems like it just seems kind of like out of left field a little bit.
Yeah, I think part of that might be, and let me know if I'm off base here. I think some of that is because of the pivot that happened, where post season two, it really felt like the direction they were going was Din sort of embracing Bo's lifestyle more and how he deals with the fallout of Grogu leaving. And then uh, there was like shades of animosity within the Children of the Watch, right? Between him and Paz Vizsla, because I think they fought before Book of Boba Fett. I think he was like displeased with something in season one and then
Yeah,
reluctantly helped them, right?
yeah,
Escape. So it felt like that's what they were building towards. And I think we focus on the pivot being, oh, they reunited Grogu and Din so soon. But I also think the pivot happened in Book of Boba Fett where Din wanted to atone and like stick with his lifestyle, which I think based off of it in hindsight, I don't think it feels that drastic of a change, but I don't think that's what people expected when you end season 2 on that note of after 2 seasons of abiding by this, mask off, kid gone. So you expect a lot of change, right?
yeah, exactly.
But shifting it to I still like respect my culture a lot and I want to make good on that. I think you just had people, and again, COVID happened and production stopped, so there was a longer gap than they intended. But like, there was a long period of time where the speculation was, yeah, so he's gonna have the dark saber. He's gonna be the reluctant king. He's gonna uh, sort of break down the old structure of his religion. But um, yeah, this season basically went in a completely different direction. But I think it tracks. But I do think what you're saying is the behind the scenes production is at fault because that shift was Book of Boba Fett. That was not Mandalorian shifting it. It was that show.
Yeah, and I think that was a mistake, to
I
be
agree.
honest.
Yeah.
Like I think I think it kind of soured the ending of season 2, and it left season 3 to start off on like a really strange foot. Like to me, at the end of season 2, you had Din Djarin with his helmet off. Like you said, you don't know if he's going to sort of like embrace Bo-Katan's way of living, and he's going to sort of maybe denounce the Children of the Watch. But it's just like in this season, he just like is immediately just like I'm gonna go and atone for my sins. He does it in episode 2, and then he's just like
Mm-hmm.
fully on Bo-Katan's side, and it's just like about her all of a sudden. And to me, it's like that's just kind of jarring
Yeah.
and not exactly what I wanted. It did seem like even in season 3 that like for a lot of the time Grogu was just kind of there as like decoration. Like he didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Like and that's not really what I want from a season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see him progress. Like we started to see him progress in season 2, and like he had some moments in this season, but it's just like he didn't really go anywhere as a character.
Yeah.
And neither of them did, and that's kind of disappointing to me.
Yeah, if I can clarify about what I was displeased with what you're saying, I am displeased that they chose to make these changes in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
Currently, in hindsight, I'm not fully displeased with all of the shifts, specifically about Din, um, because like my main beef is with Grogu, and I'll get to that in a second. Um, with Din, I appreciate that he doubled down on his way of life because I think that gave us a really interesting perspective into the Children of the Watch and the culture of the Mandalorians for, like full blown wide audience understanding all of that and how that set the stakes for what Bo had to do to unite both clans. Um, and the fact that in seasons 1 and 2, because Grogu is the driving force of those seasons, and people could argue, I think Pat, or you said this back in the day, that the Mandalorian refers to Grogu. Um, Din is kind of like a secondary character. Like he's important, but like he's sort of like um, the driver. Like he is the person who is pursuing action for the characters who are plot relevant to have it. Not to say that he doesn't have his own character arc or plot, but um, the way I texted it to you and Jack was Din Djarin's an NPC dealing with main characters in Star Wars, like Bo and Ahsoka and another of Yoda's species. So him serving as a vehicle for, again, like setting the stakes and then tying to Bo this season, I did like, and I do like that they've sort of embraced the Children of the Watch as like this is just a different culture. It's like it's not bad. Like the armor is not an antagonist really. Like she's very open, surprisingly, to growing and making sacrifices for the sake of the culture. All that stuff I really liked. I came around on the pivot of maskless Din being the expectation. It's just like you said, Grogu felt like an accessory this season, and I don't see why they had to reunite them that soon. They could have done everything else I just said, and I would have been stoked with that. And then have Grogu come back, like when Din was getting choked out in the finale here, and that's when he makes his choice or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he didn't do much otherwise.
No, like I don't think I don't think like my characterization of him as just like set decoration is invalid. Like he kind of did nothing. He was just there.
He's cute. Cute kid.
He's cute. He's cute.
Gets a little mech, a little no button, like a dog. That's cute.
Yeah, he's cute. But like, he could do something. He is like a Jedi after all. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so that was my biggest issue was, like you said, he could have came back in the final like 2 episodes and it would have served for the same emotional purpose. And I think it probably would have helped Din and like flesh out his motivation for wanting to help Bo of like, his kid's at school, he's got nothing else going on. Sure, he'll help Bo. He liked her kind of,
Thanks. The kid's at school. Yeah. I don't know if you were to have to rank the 3 seasons, how would you rank them?
That's tricky because I rewatched season 1 and I didn't get to rewatch season 2. I think this is very difficult for me, Mike. I don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, you don't have to.
If 2 was more recent, if I had a fresh watch of 2, because I haven't watched it since like 2020, I think, or whenever we did the rewatch, but I think 2, because of the highs, is number 1. And then when it comes to 1 and 3, I think on a quality level they're the same. It's just they both have their own strengths and weaknesses. And I think I lean to do 2, 3, 1 because I think like what I led with cohesively as a season of TV, the flow for what they were building towards, I think works better than season 1, which is a lot of go here, do this, go here, do this, go here, do this, go here, do this. Oh, 3 episode arc about the finale. You know.
Hmm.
Um. So I tentatively I'll say 231 without the context of having watched 2 for a while.
Fair enough. I'm severely disappointed at the lack of Bill Burr in this season.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Damn.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up, honestly.
No Boba. No
Uh,
Boba either.
no Boba, no Boba Fett, no Fennec Shand. Where are they? Where are they? Um,
Find out in the Book of Boba Fett season 2.
yeah, which is never gonna happen. Um, I do have another question for you, Christian.
Yeah.
Now that we have, the Mandalorians, they retook Mandalore. We got Bo-Katan, reclaiming her title as leader on Mandalore. We got all the Mandalorian factions living together in harmony, which I think is interesting. We got Din Grogu now living on Navarro with Din Djarin. And we also have Din Djarin basically telling Grief Karga that he wants to work as a bounty hunter for the New Republic. So my question to you, Christian, is where do you see the Mandalorian going from here? What's next for if there were a season 4, which I'm sure there will be? Where do we go from here?
I think they'll probably go back to season 1 vibes in terms of job of the week is my expectation. Unless they want to pivot to having season 4 be about the Mandalorian people, like rebuilding the city and the planet, and like have Din as either a audience lens into that. Like I could see a time skip genuinely. I think that's on the table as well, just to have an experienced New Republic bounty hunter Din Djarin with his son Din Grogu, maybe a little bit older now, different puppet, maybe speaking a little bit, and then season 4 is like a few years into their new life as bounty hunters, and then Bo calls them to help with some problem on Mandalore, and that's the season. So like there's a story that happens in between, because I have seen a lot of people say that this felt like a series finale, which we said the same thing with season 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a easy justification for them to continue. I don't think there's a surprising way for them to continue, but yeah, that's where I'm sitting at right now. How do you feel about the future of the show with a season 4?
I mean, I think that it's going to be informed a lot as to what's going to happen in Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might have a better idea as to the conflict in the galaxy at the time after watching Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Maybe it will just go back to job of the week, and at a certain point he goes back to Mandalore to help Bo with something. But I could also see it tying into Ahsoka, depending on what happens in that show. So I guess we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, because also, I've seen like what we were talking about before with like what's left before the movie to wrap everything up. I've seen some people say like this is the, if you want to talk Marvel about it, the end of phase 1 of the Mandoverse, where pretty much every plot line, with the exception of Ahsoka mentioning Thrawn in that one episode, pretty much every plot line of the Mandoverse has been wrapped up now.
Mm-hmm.
So phase 1 is done. This was our Avengers. And then
I mean, yeah.
Next up, we'll see what happens for the next phase, and then it'll culminate in the movie. So I think you're right. Ahsoka sets the tone. It's the Iron Man 3 of, if we're making all these comparisons. Yeah. In terms of what's next,
I hope it's better than Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Let's say it's, I mean, I liked Iron Man 3, but let's say it's the Guardians of the Galaxy, because that was the first phase 2 movie that was like new direction.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
Winter Soldier, I guess, because that was the Hydra reveal. That was a big deal.
yeah.
Anyway, I think you're right. That's what I'm saying.
Um, I don't want to say, I don't know what else there is to say, other than the fact that R.I.P. to Moff Gideon, or is he
Or is
dead?
he?
Uh,
Have you seen the theory that that man did not have a mustache, Mike?
I did see that theory.
So
Yeah,
it's actually a clone.
I mean, dude, I would not put it past Disney to do something like that. Like,
Same, but like if he was a clone, wouldn't he have had force powers in that fight?
that is true. I mean, he said that he tried to harness the power of the Force. He never said that he was successful, or
Maybe.
or did
Maybe
or
he didn't
did
want
he?
to play his hand, Mike. I think he might have said something where there's some legal gray area, you know.
Okay, yeah. He was hedging his bets. Um, yeah, so maybe R.I.P. to Moff Gideon.
Hmm.
We'll have to see. Um, Also, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Jack Black and Lizzo because
Yeah.
we didn't talk about that yet. Uh, that was an insane episode, just based on like what the heck did we watch?
Yeah, I think I said this to you. The week before, I had to wait to watch it until nighttime. So I was like, next week feels like it's a big deal. I should watch it in the morning again. So I woke up. I was like, half asleep, turned on my TV, and 8 minutes of this episode go by. Mind you, later that day, I'm seeing the Super Mario Brothers movie starring Jack Black as Bowser.
It's a Jack Black. Yeah, that's so funny because it did come out the same day, I think.
Yeah, and then the second they open that door, and I hear "Welcome," I'm like, "Is that fucking Jack Black?" And then it's him, and I'm so focused on the fact that it's Jack Black, I didn't even realize that it was Lizzo next to him until like they were eating together. I was like, "Wait, that's Lizzo." What? And
Yeah,
then
honestly,
3 minutes later, Christopher Lloyd shows up. I was like, "Bro,
yeah.
what?"
The one redeeming quality about that episode was the end when Christopher Lloyd was just like, Count Dooku was right. I thought that was awesome.
Oh man, I had a
But
blast with
yeah,
that one. That was hilarious.
yeah, I was watching that with my roommate, and he was like, "What the heck is this show?" And I was like, "It's not like this normally. Like, I
What
don't
is
know
this
what's happening."
prequel era nonsense?
Yeah, I was like, I honestly don't know what's happening right now, but it's fine. Um, I don't know. I just thought it was like a little distracting.
Fair.
I was just like, oh my God, Jack Black is in.
Apparently, I saw on Instagram though Lizzo, huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah, I saw that too. Her dad like
Yeah.
introduced her to it. That's
Hmm.
sweet.
Yeah. I feel like that's the case with most people who end up getting a shot. Like, they're usually really, really big fans in some degree for the cameo appearances.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta imagine Jack Black's probably
Oh,
a Star Wars
absolutely.
fan too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But I thought, yeah, the thing that was sending me was it was like, yeah, Jack Black was a former Imperial. I was like, bro, what?
Yeah. So
Uh,
funny, dude.
yeah, I was
So
losing
funny.
it. Um, I don't know why people got mad about that episode. I mean, like it's Star Wars, of course people are gonna get mad. I thought it was silly fun, and it wasn't like it didn't take away from the last two episodes that we got in terms of like giving us something really cool and satisfying.
Yeah, I don't think it took away from anything. I think it may have been the weakest episode of the season, just in terms of like everything else that was going on, but
Hmm.
I had fun with it for sure.
Yeah, I think just because you brought it up, my least favorite was the first episode, honestly.
Yeah, that was one of the slower ones. It was more just like catch up for people who didn't watch Boba Fett.
Yeah, and that's when my fears were at their highest of like, oh yeah, it's the Mandalorian again. And then like when episode two happened, I'm like, oh, we're going somewhere with this. Interesting. Okay. And then
Yeah,
the pivot happened. So, do you have a
amen.
score you'd give it overall out of 10 or whatever?
Um, well, I mean, if I were to rank it, I would probably say that this is my least favorite season.
Hmm.
Favorite season being season two,
Hmm.
second favorite being season one. Um, but yeah, if I were to give it like a rank out of 10, I'd say it's maybe like a 7, like a solid 7.
Yeah, that tracks. I'm at like an 8, 8.5 for me. I'd give season 2 a 9. Season 1, I'd probably also give an 8.5.
Fair. That's fair.
Um, Andor's
Yeah,
a
I feel
10
like
now.
I'd give
So,
Andor is a 10
yeah.
for sure. I think I'd give season 2 like a 9.5 and season 1 like an 8.5. So,
Yeah, solid. But, yeah.
anyways, anything else you want to say about the Mandalorian?
I don't think so. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad that it was a happy ending. That was nice. Kind of refreshing. R.I.P. Paz
Yeah,
Vizsla.
true. Yeah, R.I.P. John Favreau. And so,
Also, the Praetorian Guards, pretty sweet. I thought it was really cool. I know people don't like them.
yeah,
I thought it was really cool though.
people had a huge problem with that, which was dumb. I thought they were awesome.
Yeah, man, that was sweet. Loved it. Also, like just him, like it felt in character and it felt earned when he was like, "This is the way," and he killed everybody. Like for them to get away. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
it was like to me that was like a perfect moment that like really set the tone for everything for the finale, and then it was one of those really cool. It wasn't a hallway scene, but like people love sharing hallway scenes in movies like this or shows like this. Um, that one felt like a really good one to me. Had weight behind it, not just cool stuff happening.
Yeah, I agree.
But any
All
final
right.
thoughts for you on the season?
No, man. I I thought it was fun Star Wars. Um, Other than the fact that I'm just like a little disappointed as to the direction, like I was mentioning,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it overall.
Nice.
Just excited for Ahsoka now.
Yeah, we'll see what's up. Because I think you have more attachment to this than I do. Last question: how do you feel about the dark saber being destroyed, if it is truly destroyed?
Well, I don't think it's destroyed. I think they'll probably find a way to resurrect it.
Fair enough.
But I don't really. I, it's kind of just like a plot device. Like I don't really have that close of a. I think the point is like it's meaningless.
Yes,
Like
I'm happy that it felt very like that felt very good to happen in that moment. Like that felt like the
I agree.
culmination of what this entire season was about. Symbolically, was at the perfect moment, worked great. I really liked that choice. But I know people
Agreed.
are gonna have a stink about it because it's like, yeah, but it's so important.
Yeah, but they're missing the entire point, which is that it's not like
Star Wars fans missing the point, Mike. I don't know about that.
yeah, seriously. um, yeah, I mean, great great show overall.
Yeah.
Love Star Wars. That's my takeaway, Christian. I just love Star Wars.
Fair enough.
Well, if you have nothing else to say, why don't you take us out to sea?
Sure thing. Where can the listeners find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
And you can find me on Twitter and TikTok at ChunTD2. You can find the show on youtube.com/joyclicks. You can find it on audio services like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just look up Jedi Knights without a K. That is Jedi Knights without a K. Or look up Joyclicks. You will find it. Rating and reviewing is a free way to help the show. If you enjoy it, helps us find more Star Wars lovers, the good ones. Leaving a quick little 5-star helps out with that. It's very easy to do. Blurb,
Yes.
even if you enjoy that much. You can also go to patreon.com/joyclicks at the $1 and $5 tiers to help the show out and get producer credit on all of our shows. And that is Jedi Knights. We'll be back next week
Yep.
for, I think we're recording before Jedi Survivor drops, but still, Survivor launch week and Return of the Jedi is going to be in theaters next Friday. So
Are you gonna go see that? by
I
the way?
think I am. I think I'm gonna try to.
I think I am too, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like book it out of work, but like I think I need to do that. I've only seen one pre-sequel live action Star Wars movie in theaters, and it was The Phantom Menace 3D. So I need this.
Oh my god, that was such a long time ago.
I know.
Um, honestly though, like, yeah, I mean, trying to think like, I don't think it's just that Friday, so you could probably see it on like a Saturday if you have the time.
Yeah, if it's the weekend, I'm definitely seeing it. But yeah. Well,
Great.
everyone, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the force be with you.
Oh, yes, 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 you're right. Beep is up.